Yasu, Minecraft fans, which is a Greek greeting that roughly means your health. Welcome to this video. If you're tuning in, we are in my Let's Play world, and I'm going to be working on portals. So this introduction is kind of a dual-purpose introduction. If you're watching the Let's Play series, I just want to let everybody know in the Let's Play series that we're going to be working on portals today. And if you're watching the tutorial, then that means we're going to go into detail on how we fix these portals. So this is a portal I set up in where my end portal is in the stronghold, and I have another portal close to where my world spawn is. So let's go into this portal here. And this came out at the portal that's next to my world spawn, and you'll see if I go back into this portal, it comes out at this is my world spawn that I've marked off. And let's look at the numbers. So my world spawn portal sits at the coordinates, and I wrote these coordinates with the X and the Z first, just because in the Nether the X and the Z are 1/8, and in the Overworld the Y coordinate actually stays the same. This is my world spawn portal, so the ideal coordinates for this would be X equals -8 in the Nether, Z equals 32 in the Nether, and Y equals 68 in the Nether, and that is not where this portal sits. And you can see these are the 3 portals that I have set up in this world. So if you're following along in the Let's Play series, this is all going to start working, but for everybody who's watching the tutorial, let's continue on. So if you're watching this tutorial, this is again my world spawn portal that I set up, and I set this portal up, and the game picked the destination portal. So let's go through this. So this is where my world spawn portal comes out in the Nether. And if we look at this, these numbers do not match up with the 1/8. So when the game picks where your portal is going to go in the Nether, it doesn't always match it up perfectly. So I'm going to break this portal down, and then we'll continue on. So what I thought I'd do for this is actually go up into the ceiling of the Nether. This could be really dangerous. So as you can see by my coordinates and by the bedrock here, we are in the ceiling of the Nether. And the way that the bedrock appears, it appears at multiple layers. So I'm going to go to the top layer of the Nether, but not all the way to the top. And the way that I understand the ghasts spawn, they need a 5x5 area to spawn. So this is the roof of the Nether, 1, 2, 3. We are going to make a portal area in the Nether that is only 4 blocks high, and hopefully this will keep ghasts from spawning up here. And then I will set up an area and find my locations, and we'll get back to the tutorial. And here we are, and if you look at my coordinates, you can see I am at elevation Y119, and that looks like a good elevation to be at. So the roof of the Nether is 4 blocks above this, and this is the bottom section of the roof, because the bedrock spawns at multiple layers, but the bottom layer is up here, and we have 4 blocks of clearance, which should be too small for ghasts to spawn up here, but I can create rooms up here. I think this is why Nether portals in the ceiling are kind of popular on a lot of Minecraft servers, because you can build these portal areas and in the Nether and have them up in the ceiling, no ghast spawn. I will get zombie pigmen spawning in here unless I like half slab or something, but this works for now. Now if you're not sure how portals work in the Nether, I will go ahead and provide a link to a video that Generikb put out where he explains the distance in the Nether compared to the Overworld. And then this video is more intended more of an intermediate or advanced Nether portal topics video. It's kind of like my Let's Play. Not a lot of beginner stuff, but maybe some more advanced stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to set these portals up. So if you understand the basics of the way the Nether portals work, one of the things to note is when you place a portal in one world and go through it and the game generates the portal in the other world, it kind of picks a random spot. I kind of compare it to like a bolt of lightning. bolt of lightning originates somewhere in the sky. Where it lands on the ground may not exactly be where, equal to where it is. So even though our portal was in the overworld basically at this X and Y coordinates, my portal in the Nether actually came out like somewhere at this location, down pretty low. Now we are higher up in the Y coordinate, but these should still link up, and I call this anchoring your Nether portals. So what I'm going to do is match up the X and the Z coordinates. So you'll see when I wrote the descriptions earlier that actually what I did was I set these up so that where I wrote the X and the Z coordinate first and the Y coordinate last, even though that's not the way they appear in your F3, and I did that just because it makes the math easier. The X and the Z are the ones we got to divide by 8, and the Y we leave the same. So even though this has a different Y coordinate, if I light this up and I brought my flint and steel, never go into the Nether without your flint and steel, because if you do, a ghast can fireball your portal, or if you break it, you won't be able to make a new one unless you have a way to light it. So always bring your flint and steel. So we're going to light that portal up. This portal, if I did the math right, the X and the Z are exactly 1/8, even though the Y is at a different axis. So this isn't 100% what I call grounded. So ideally, the 100% grounded location for your portal would have X and Z at 1/8 and Y exactly equal to. Now, because of the way the Overworld and the Nether are different, those aren't always going to match up. One thing I recommend if you do set up portals in the Overworld, it's a good idea not to set your Nether portals above Y equals 128 in the Overworld, because you can see the ceiling is close to Y equals 128. Y equals 128 is actually the roof of the Nether, and the game gets really funky with the way it matches portals up if the portal in the Overworld is above Y equals 128. So I recommend never putting another portal above Y equals 128 in the Overworld. But this portal is fairly close. The X and the Z line up exactly. So Z is 32. And if we look at our world spawn portal, Z is 32. And our X is -8. And of course this is 2 blocks wide, so there's actually 2 X coordinates, X equals -8 and X equals -9, but X equals -8. So the world spawn portal down there on the bottom left in the Nether is X equals -8, Z equals 32, which match up perfectly, and then Y equals 68, so we're a little higher there, but you can usually change 1 or 2 of the axes and get fairly close. Ideally, this portal works as long as it's closer than any other portals you have. So I've anchored this portal. Let's go through. This should land us in the Overworld at our world spawn. And I haven't checked this yet, so we'll find out. Alright, so we are at our world spawn. That's exactly what I wanted. So the next thing we'll check when we go back into the Nether, you can see the game took me to this portal. That's because this portal is close enough that the game knows to use this portal and it's not going to try to generate a new one. If you get these portals too far off, when you go through one, the game will generate a new portal on the other end, or it'll take you to the wrong portal. So let's go down to the other portal that we set up, and it looks like my math was a little off. So before we continue, just one thing to note, I brought a crafting table and I made a chest to store all this extra netherrack because I'm blowing it all out, and I brought a whole bunch of cobblestone. And I've been using stone pickaxes. I like using stone pickaxes when I'm breaking through the netherrack because they don't go too fast, and I'm not going to end up blowing a hole in the floor that I can't get out of. And this is where I had originally marked this, but I forgot. This is Z equals 11 and X equals -11, and my portal is actually, if we look at the math here that I wrote down, the grinder's portal is in the Nether, X equals -11 and Z equals -11. So let's go down to where that is. X equals -11 and Z equals -11. So this is where I'm going to put up my portal. And again, this is a ghetto portal with the corners missing. I'll probably go through and set this back up. But let's light this up. And we saw our Overworld portal where it went to where we wanted it to in the Overworld. And even though the Y is at 119, and my grinder portal is at Y37, this should link up anyway. So I haven't tested this yet. Let's find out. And here we are. This is the room in between the two grinders I've set up. If you've been following my Let's Play, there's a zombie grinder down here, and there's a skeleton grinder down there. So now I've got two portals linked up, and I'm going to dig out a path and connect it to my third portal. And here we are. So this is my world portal. Down there is my portal where my grinders are. And you'll notice in here that I've actually switched over, and if you look at the F3, I'm running on the snapshot. And the only reason why I switched to the snapshot is because as I move into unexplored areas in the Nether, if I move into them on the snapshot or in the redstone update when it becomes released, then the new areas that I move into when they generate brand new will have the Nether quartz in them. So one of the things I wanted to do in my Let's Play series is I didn't want to explore a whole bunch of the Nether without being on the redstone update or the snapshot, so that I don't have to go as far to find Nether quartz. So here's my two original portals, and I dug all of this out, and like I said, I've been using the stone picks just because I don't have to, they're kind of disposable, and they don't go too fast that I blow a hole in the world and fall through it. But you can see way down here is where I end up. And this is a fairly short walk in the Nether. It's actually pretty long in the Overworld. And so this is x equals -95 and z equals 81. And so that's exactly where my portal is going to sit. And this works out a little trickier because this is at y equals 119 and my end room portal is at y equals 18. But because I've anchored to the x and the z axis, the y axis shouldn't matter all that much. And again, we built this 4 tall because ghast need a 5 tall area to spawn, so ghast shouldn't spawn in here. I did have a zombie pigman spawn in here, but I haven't had any ghast so far. So this should also go through, and let's jump through here, and I should end up in my room where my end portal is. And here we go. This is my end portal room. So now I have set up 3 portals in the Overworld, and they link up to 3 portals in the Nether. And now I can use my portals as a quick access to different areas of the world. And you saw that the coordinates were pretty far away. The coordinates of this end portal room are x equals -760 and z equals 648, which is quite a distance in the Overworld. But even when I set that portal up originally and linked it up, there's my zombie pigman that spawned. Even when I set this up in the Overworld, even though this was way far away from my main portal, the game still decided that it was close enough that it would use the main portal. So when I used the portal way down there in the Overworld, it actually brought me to my world spawn portal in the Nether. So now I have 3 portals linked up, and now I've linked my bases with Nether portals. So again, you can kind of fudge the numbers a little bit, like I fudged the y-axis. The main point is that the portals have to actually be closer, like this portal has to sit closer than any other portal. So this portal in the Overworld will link up to this portal I set up in the Nether because the one I set up in the Nether is closer than any other portal. And then let's take a look at my other single player world, and I'll give you an example of some more fudging that we can do. So here we are in my previous single player world. I don't have any videos for this, just some highlight videos. And I have set up a portal room in the Nether here. And so I mentioned that I can fudge the numbers. So I've actually fudged the numbers a little bit on these 3 portals, and I've separated them a little bit, so they're not exactly connected, but they are fairly close. So right here I have a Nether hub, and these portals here are fairly close, and you can see I've labeled them. And I have the same type of setup that I did in my Let's Play world. So I have an end portal, and this links up x39, z73, y32. And these numbers aren't exact because you can see it's pretty far off. This is not exactly 1/8, but this portal goes to where my end portal is. And in this world, I did not destroy the silverfish spawner, so there's my end portal down there on the other side of the silverfish spawner that I just blocked off. And this goes through to my nether hub. And this always comes out at the end portal. These aren't 100% anchored, but this portal is closer than any other portal between the overworld and the nether. So my end portal in the overworld will always link to this portal in the nether. And then the same thing with my other ones. I have an underground farm, which is fairly close to my end portal, but it's still far enough away that these two portals are separate, and this underground farm portal always goes to where my underground farm is. And I set this up at my underground farm, which is here. You can see I have an underground farm. And then back at my nether portals hub, I have a third portal. And this was really tricky to do 3 portals this close together. I tried to do a 4th portal. Getting a 4th portal set up is pretty tricky. Getting 2 portals this close together in the nether is still pretty tricky to do. The main part is that these 2 portals have to be far enough away from each other, and the portals in the overworld have to be far enough away from each other that this portal is always closest to where my end portal sits in the overworld, and this portal is always closest to where the portal sits in my underground farm. And then I have a third portal at a jungle base, and as you can see, this portal always connects to my nether hub, because this portal at the jungle base is still the closest one to the corresponding portal in the nether hub. And then if we take a look here, this is my jungle base, and it's actually built above where the stronghold is in this world. So there's my underground farm, and these two are the closest by land. And then I just take a little hop down this hall, which is actually it's a ways away, but it's still fairly close in the overworld, so that does make it tricky to link these up in the nether. But here is my end portal, and as you can see above my end portal, I have this nether portal in the right next to the end portal that also leads into the nether hub. You can see how close these portals are in the overworld, but they're set up far enough apart to link to separate portals in my nether hub. Now, if you build a nether hub below the ceiling, it's tricky because there's a lot of open area. So make sure you set up a nether hub at lower levels that you surround it. You can see that this is set up with glass. The glass is not gas proof, but because I filled it in, including filling in the corners, and you can see there's glowstone here, and there's actually glass in these corners. But because I filled it in, including filling in the corners, and it's not tall enough for gas to spawn in this room, they can't track me when I'm inside, so they won't shoot at me. I wanted to link these 3 up, so they're pretty close in the overworld, so I did build this nether hub at a lower elevation to guarantee that each portal is close enough to its counterpart that they didn't cross-connect. But I see why nether hubs are popular in the roof of the nether. So back here in my Let's Play world, you can see in the roof of the nether there's a lot of solid netherrack up here, and so you can dig without hitting any open areas, and you can make it small enough that gas don't spawn in here. You can actually link all of your portals up here in the roof of the nether. You just have to have them far enough apart in the overworld that they don't cross-connect, and to do that you'll have to break any of the in-game generated portals and move them up in the roof as well. And one thing about the game generated portals is whenever the game generates a portal, like I said, it's not an exact science. It's kind of like a lightning strike. It's just going to land in a weird spot. And you'll especially run into that if you create a portal in the nether and go through it, and the resulting portal would be over water in the overworld. You'll notice sometimes you'll see portals generate over water, and they generate pretty far apart from where they should be generated, and a lot of times they just generate in the sky above the water with just a little platform. It's really tricky to do. Just because the game's not going to generate a portal underwater, those are going to be really tricky. And then, so any game generated portals, you should move them. It's best to create your portals in the overworld with coordinates that are divisible by 8, and then relocate portals in the nether so that they link up pretty much exactly. Like I said, I usually link up the X and the Z exactly, and then you can fudge the Y just to have them in the roof. So if you want all of your portals in the roof of the Nether, you can actually relocate them. You're just going to have to relocate them by hand. And you'll notice sometimes you'll see portals in Nether hubs, and they're built really close together, and that looks really nice, but hardly ever do those link to different portals in the overworld. So I usually don't build them exactly. You can do, if you do Nether hubs in the roof of the Nether, you can see these aren't exact. I could actually get them closer together, and they would still connect to their separate ones. Like I could pick a midpoint in between these two portals and put two portals right next to each other, and they should still go to their separate portals as long as I don't build any other portals really close. So in my previous Let's Play, or my previous single player world, those 3 portals that I built were particularly close together in the overworld, and so I did have to build below the ceiling of the Nether. But this is definitely a good way to do it, is build stuff up in the Nether in the ceiling, because like I said, you can blow through all the solid netherrack and you don't have to worry about hitting open areas, and you don't have to worry about gas spawning because this is only 4 high. So this is definitely something you can do, especially if you're on a multiplayer server and you're the one setting up Nether hubs. You're just going to have to manually relocate any game generated portals to get them up at this elevation, but you saw we linked these up and they did come out in the spot they wanted to. And you can even just all of your portals generate. So like if I build this Nether hub here, and this is my main portal at world spawn, and then someone builds a base way off, as long as I take a path in the roof of the Nether and I relocate the game generated portal that they produce at their base that's far off up into the ceiling, I can fudge the X, or I can fudge the Y coordinate as long as I leave the X and Z really close so that no other portal will link to that. And as you also saw, I was able to fudge even the X and the Z coordinates on my other portals as long as they link up together. So you can have these fairly close as long as they're separate enough in the Nether that each portal is close enough to that one. I recommend that if you do these on a multiplayer server, that you do actually go all the way out and place the resulting portal at each of the remote bases at exactly the same X and Z coordinates, and then you can fudge the Y to bring it up into the roof of the Nether. So I think we're about to wrap this up. I hope there's a lot of good information here that everybody finds useful, and if you did find it useful, please like, and you can subscribe to my channel. There's a lot of tutorials and a Let's Play series. But I wanted to show everybody how this all works, especially if you're the one who gets tasked to set up a Nether hub on a multiplayer server, or maybe you watch this video and now you are capable of having enough information to set up a Nether hub on a multiplayer server. Even in single player, it's handy to know all this stuff. But you can set these portals up. You can and should relocate any game generated portals just to get them so that they always anchor to your corresponding portals. And then you can set these up where you just have a short path in the Nether that is 1/8 the distance that you would have to travel in the overworld. So thank you everybody for watching the video. Again, I hope you find this useful, and thank you everybody who likes and subscribes. And if you guys have any other questions about Nether portals that I haven't answered, you can leave a comment or send me a PM on YouTube, and I'll try to respond to everybody. But I hope this information, everybody finds it useful, and thank you everybody for watching, and thank you everybody who likes and subscribes.